Big hello to all the YouTube people who are watching this session. And today we are having a very special guest with us. And in this session, we do call guests because we all are devoted to one path. So we are having Ogla ma'am with us. She is from Canada, and today she has joined. Ma'am, I would like to tell you about all the people who are here. We are having a mission, a very hardcore mission to bring smile in each and every face, build a stress-free and a violence-free society where everyone is happy. Every means most of the people are meditating. The Gurudev's vision is our mission, and that's why these sessions are also very informal, very candid. Like in a winter season, the teacher volunteers are sitting close by, and we are discussing so many things. And many people know you, but I would like to take the opportunity to introduce you to the group. So, talking about Olga, ma'am, she's a young, dynamic faculty of Art of Living. She's a happiness program teacher and an impact investing professional. She has been with the Art of Living Foundation for 10 plus years, having served multiple roles, including as a board member of Art of Living Colombia and as an instructor in Canada and Colombia. Olga ma'am, along with her team of entrepreneurs, is launching in March Vandir, a full day online festival to help participants to explore range of practices and tools for healthy and vibrant living. She will be sharing her life adventures in social entrepreneurship and her journey and lot more. And and today we are having a very interesting topic, also social impact of business and spirituality. But in this session, we would, as it is of art of living, so we would first start with some guru stories of yours. So so that we get in that mode. So yes, ma'am, over to you.
Thank you, Abhishek, for that lovely introduction. And thank you all for joining. I, you know, something that Abhishek was saying was that I work as an impact investing professional, and I love what I do. I love so much what I do. It brings so much joy. But I do enjoy more when I am around the art of living community, when I can teach the happiness course. It's very beautiful. And Guruji has been very important in my path, in my professional path as well, when I was trying to decide what to do with my life. And I don't know if many of you are familiar with impact investing or social entrepreneurship, but basically, impact investing is the practice in which we look for ventures that have that intentionality of improving people's lives or improving the environment. And I I used to think, well, this is the best thing that I can do with my life, and this is what I should be getting my life to. And then I think that 4 or 5 years ago, when Guruji went to Toronto to do Unveiling Infinity, and I was in the middle of my MBA, and I was very confused in what I should be doing. So I was with my mentor, who is Julia Arbuckle. I don't know if some of you know her, but she threw me against Gurudev, and she said, Guruji, she has a question for you. And I asked him, Guruji, should I dedicate my life to work with social entrepreneurs? And he answered, no, your work is your work, and your seva is your seva. And the first thing that I understood was the no. And I didn't really get what he was saying, because I thought, well, but this is very good for the people, these are companies that are improving people's lives, that are doing things for climate change. So how come he's saying no? And it took me actually 2 years to understand what he meant. And in fact, I did go first into like trying to apply for jobs in a different area, and thinking like, well, he said no, then it must mean like I should not do this. But if you see the way how I asked my question, I asked, should I dedicate my life? You know, what does it mean to dedicate your life? It means to just do that thing. And even though my work, I feel very proud that I get the opportunity to work with these amazing entrepreneurs that have this impact in the world. That cannot be everything. And that's why SEVA is so important, because at the end of the day, I do get paid for my job. I'm very happy that I can have that opportunity to have a living through something that I love. But SEVA, something that you do without expecting absolutely anything in return, is very different. And that brings a very different dimension to your life. So today we're going to be talking more about social entrepreneurship. But I think that remembering that it's more about amplifying the impact that we do. That our SEVA brings so much juice, so much love to our lives. But at the same time, we can also maybe see how we can use more of our hours to support others, to support the environment.
We also feel so proud that you are in this field, and you are helping those people who are trying to do something for the environment and something for the society. And very rare we see this, but we are also feeling very proud. So uh, when you are like helping those people for the environment, means who are doing something good, how do you means can you describe ki, how do you check ki, okay, like it will be really sustainable or not? Because many people think that okay, the charity should be free, you should not make it. I request everyone to please mute yourself because some sound is coming. Yes, okay. And many people think that okay, this can't be sustainable and all, and we should do this so that it should be not for profit and all. So, and if what you are doing, like helping those people, and they are making their livelihood also. So, how do you see this? Ki we means judge them. Ki okay, this can be sustainable or not. Tell me something about what do you do.
Yeah, thank you for asking that. So, you know, typically we think that only charities are the ones that can have a positive impact. But that idea of having that, like bringing that innovation and that creativity to have that impact, but along a financial return, is something requires like different skill sets. It requires a deep understanding of the problem, on what the user needs. But then at the same time, as you said, you want to make this sustainable. So that's when a business plan comes. And then you have to think about, okay, what are creative ways how can I still make this financially sustainable? So for example, there are some models that are models in which you have, for example, let's say that you want to provide education that helps people to learn more about, I don't know, tech. So one way could be you have a very good program, and then you have high income people that can pay for that, and that can pay like enough. And then you can have another group of people that don't have the financial means to afford something like that. And one can support the other. And you're at the end being sustainable. Or for example, one of the companies that I work with, one of my favorites, they are brand in Canada. Their name is Cotton. Their founder, he's Egyptian, and he always wanted to do something for the communities in the Nile Delta region, which is where the cotton gets produced. So he has a very transparent supply chain, but he works directly with the smallholder farmers. He pays them premiums so that these people can make a living wage. Then he also builds schools around the areas in which he is working, and then you can see throughout his supply chain that it's a deep commitment to be transparent, to be fair, to be ethical. So when I'm looking at a business, the first thing that I look for is the founder. Like the founder has to be very strong to have that resiliency, to have um, that creativity, that ability to innovate. And then, yes, you're looking, of course, at the business model and everything, but always an entrepreneur can pivot or they can do something else. So first, you want the person to be very, very strong, to have that commitment, like really, really strong. And of course, they need to have the plan, but sometimes the plan changes. But the person needs to be very, like very solid.
Absolutely. And I guess more and more people should go for social entrepreneurship. This is a very nice thing to do. If someone is who are watching this video on YouTube and thinking I should start something new, I guess doing something for the society and environment, what is better than this? So, yes, you were saying something?
Yeah, I was gonna say that yes, that it's a beautiful professional path. It's a way how you can also bring all of that knowledge that you're getting from like spiritual practices that are helping you to kindle that compassion, kindle that awareness, and that sense of responsibility. I would say that one of my favorite points of the happiness program is the point about responsibility, about how when we see things around us that we don't feel happy, that we think that could be different, when we don't do anything, is that when we start complaining, right? But then
True.
you kind of start taking responsibility, and that empowers you. And one way to take responsibility is to also do something, build a venture that can solve one of those problems. There's so many problems and challenges and that become opportunities in fact around us. When you look at the sustainable development goals, which are this set of goals that humanity decided to set as like a path of the things that we needed to work on. These include gender equality, income inequalities. So when you see something that you think that could be different, you can take one step back and think, okay, what's what I can do? How can I solve this problem? And then when you go into that understanding of like what what can be done, then and then you can think about, okay, how that can also be profitable, then it's a beautiful path. I want to say though that not always the like in some cases a non-profit solution can work better. So for example, one of the companies that I was analyzing a few years ago is a company that works around fistula. So fistula is something that happens to women that are about to give birth and they don't have a clinic that is around them, and they don't have the means to get on time, and then this is something really sad. The baby ends up like breaking the woman like from inside. These are women that really don't have any any means to have that access to the clinics. So to try to think about, okay, they need to pay and how much they're going to pay, or like who else is going to pay for this. In those cases, it's very hard to make something that is for profit. But at the same time, you cannot forget that it still needs to be sustainable. So what can you do in those cases? You need to build a very strong team that can help with the fundraising and everything. I think that within Art of Living, we already have a lot of experience doing projects like that. So I just want to clarify that not always all of the solutions can work through like a for-profit model.
Absolutely. Ma'am, all over the world because of Corona, we see a lot of businesses going down. And a lot of people are thinking like, okay, this is the dead end. And normally also in a generic scenario, because you are constantly analyzing all the business and all, what will be the long term changes and what will be the long term, they will sustain or not. So why do you think that most of the businesses fail? And we see these statistics all across the world, like 70 or 80% startups fail in the first year. So what do you think that they are making mistake? This is my first question. And second question is that what do you want to tell to all those businessmen who are really depressed right now because all the things were shut down and till now the business is not in that flow?
Yeah, that's a very good question. There are three things that I would want to mention. So first, um, you were asking about, okay, what are those, like, why are businesses and ventures fail? For me personally, the main three reasons why they fail is first, because they haven't identified the problem properly. So you can see that there are a lot of startups that came up with a product or a service, but maybe people don't need it. So then you're trying to find a market to sell something, and it was never needed. So of course that's going to fail. So that's related to the second one about understanding your users. So I with the companies that I work with, I tell them a lot about the importance of conducting in-depth interviews. And I think that that's also one way how you can take advantage of the practices that you learn through Art of Living, because we all start becoming very good listeners, and we become very aware, and we're able to observe what's happening around us. So you can sit down with someone for 30 minutes and understand, okay, what's happening. What's happening with these, for example, for a company that is working with smallholders and trying to get them to improve their practices. They can sit down with a smallholder farmer and see, okay, what are your main challenges? Well, this thing, and then it's like, okay, why? And why that happens. So you can get to the root, and then from there, you can create a better solution. So you're not just creating things for the sake of creating things. And I think that that's also why social entrepreneurs end up um, performing better, because they are so committed to solving the problem. It's not just about the profit, it's about, I want to solve this for this community, for these people. And when you do that, you can really get to a good solution. And then the last one, I think that is related to what I was saying before about the strength of the founder. And I think that to those people that might be listening to this video that have their businesses and maybe are not performing so well right now, it's about being courageous and being and having that confidence that if you're doing things the right way, with those ethics, with those values, things things work out. And that's when the you can start applying the knowledge, and you can start applying the practices, and you can bring your energy up. You can feel that um, you can go, like, when you think about innovation, for example, you can sit down and be in that space of clarity. You can meditate, and then from there you can come up with a solution. When we're totally stressed up and we think, no, the pandemic is happening and nothing is working, and what are we going to do? It's very hard to find a solution. But when you do it from that center, for that from that clarity, then you can come up with better business solutions as well.
I found that that you told na ki actually it is useful for the people or not, because let me tell my experience. Means we are doing this sessions from March, but every day when I see the people who are joining, I really feel like, okay, this is exactly, means some or other way benefiting so many people. And that what inspires me to conduct all the things. And that I also relate, like, okay, this is actually benefiting or not. And that actually point clicked me. And um, just Sudha Didi, you want to say something? Just I will open for everyone this. Just a second. Yes, Sudha Didi.
Yeah. See, actually, how do you balance the spirituality and your entrepreneurship? Like, that's what, that's a very difficult thing. I don't know. How do you manage? Can you please explain on that?
Yes, for sure. Gurudev says something about spirituality and businesses. And he said, usually people that are very spiritual, they look down people that are in business. And then people that are in business, they think that spirituality can not be very practical. But in every society, every individual needs both. So the heart, like spirituality becomes the heart, but then business is the legs. So you do need both. And Gurudev explains that while business brings material comfort, you have a spirituality that brings that emotional comfort, that mental comfort. So you do need both. And then when you start combining those two aspects, you can find really, really beautiful solutions. So something else that Guruji has said before is that you can find systems that are like all the way towards capitalism, in which it's all about exploiting the resources, the people, right? And you can find on the other side systems that are like on the opposite extreme, that is more on the like extreme socialism, in which you don't see much of creativity or innovation. But then spirituality can bring those two like together. So on one hand, it can kindle that sense of serving, of doing things that can improve people's lives, and bring that to that like sense of the like that extreme of the capitalism. But it can also bring that creativity, that innovation to the other side. So I think that that's from like just a general view of like both, let's say both worlds. But I think that it's in the energy, in the high energy that you get every day, how you get energy to do all of these things. In the firm that I work for, we say that it's very important to bring your full self to work. You can find some places that are like super corporate, and that even speaking about spirituality is not it's not that acceptable. But when you start bringing your full self, and your full self is that includes those practices that help you blossom. So that gives you better energy, that gives you better clarity, that ability to make better decisions. And that's how you bring spirituality in your business life, in your professional life. And yeah, I couldn't see my life right now without my practices. And in fact, every morning I do my sadhana with Padma sadhana, with everything, with my boss, with one of my colleagues, and they really enjoy it. And especially in times right like now in this pandemic, in which we need to support each other, it's something beautiful that you can do with the people that you work with.
And then that's very rare, because we in very rare offices we see that boss and employee together doing the 3-stage pranayama and all Padma sadhana asanas and all, and that's very unique actually. This spirituality in India, it's okay because everywhere we can see spirituality over here. But you are staying in Canada, the people are more like partying, pubbing, and all. Let's go out, let's rock, yo-yo type. In that environment, how this art of living entered in your life? And before art of living, what was your nature? How were you? And after art of living, what things change? How you became a teacher? We want to know your whole journey. If you can share.
Yeah, so I was born and raised in Colombia. And same, like our Latin culture is more about, we love the drama and we're like so passionate about everything. And when I joined Art of Living, you know, I already had some idea about spiritual practices. I was very lucky. I was born in a family in which my mom instilled in us the sense that spirituality was something that was complementary to our religion. So I had a Catholic upbringing, but all of these like teachings from Catholicism, it was feeling like I needed something else to like experience that love, to experience that like expansion. So in my house, there were many books about from like different spiritual teachers. And I even remember when I think I was 12 and I needed to do a homework for like a Spanish class. And I took the book, the autobiography of a yogi, and I was like doing my Spanish homework based on this book. So it was very normal for me. And I was very lucky that I had a family that wanted me to find a path. But as we all know, at some point that exploration of different things has to stop. Like you cannot continue with that spiritual shopping, like one thing, then next day you're doing another thing. So one of my friends invited me to at that time what we used to call the part 1 course. And he's someone that I really, really admire. Maybe some of you have heard about him. His name is Juan Carlos Lozada, and he is a congressman in Colombia. He's an environmental activist, but even though you might think he's extremely busy, he still manages to teach a happiness course almost every month. So he's incredibly active. He does amazing, amazing work. And he invited me, and I completely loved the course, the high energy. It was a course with Swami Prayamtesh. And I would say that the reason why I have stayed within Art of Living, why at that point I was totally hooked with the practice, was mainly because I saw in Guruji a leader that was not just about, okay, let's sit in the middle of the Himalayas, meditate, and that's all, you can feel good for you. But he's all about action. Is okay, now that you are getting that that center, that emotional well-being, that mental well-being that you can feel like really deep within you, okay, what are you going to do with it? So his humanitarian work has been incredibly inspiring for me. All of what he has been doing, I find it so beautiful. And as a Colombian, to see the work that he did here when he decided that he wanted to mediate in the peace agreement that we had, and he wanted to talk to the FARC guerrilla group and also to the government, and then just see how powerful it was to have like anyone to learn from him and to change. I see right now one of the questions in the chat about like what I was doing, if I was doing business first or spirituality first. So I started my career in investment banking, but I was already familiar with some spiritual practices, and I was doing a lot of volunteering. And by trying to combine my volunteering with my expertise in finance, was that I found social entrepreneurship. But then also when I was doing investment banking and it was incredibly stressful, was when I also came across with Art of Living. And it made a lot of sense. I think that right now everything feels more like a whole rather than being in different pieces. Like you don't want to be a different person when you go to your work, a different person when you sit down for meditation. You should always be the same person, and you should always be bringing that like the sadhana to your daily life.
Absolutely. Ma'am, you were there in that when Gurudev was coming to Colombia and he was trying to resolve the issue. If you can share some of the stories of that time, it will be really nice, because in every video of Love Moves the World, we see that and we feel the goosebumps.
Yes, it also gives me goosebumps. I think I always, almost always cry when I watch that video. It's so beautiful. One story that people don't know about that happened around that time was that after the FARC guerrilla said that they wanted to adopt the Gandhian principle of nonviolence, a couple of months after, they said that they also wanted to ask for forgiveness to the victims. And that's something that the country had been waiting for so long. There was a group of politicians that was murdered, and it was something that shook our society deeply. And they asked Art of Living to become also the mediators, not mediators, but to become the people that could help them ask these families for forgiveness. So I wasn't personally there, but the story is that everyone went to Cuba, and then they were able to work with the families, but also with the FARC guerrilla, so that they could come together and heal. There is so much healing from both sides. Guruji always says that everyone at the end is a victim, and that also reminds us about being so compassionate, no? Not only for those that are so obvious for us that are victims, but for those that we think that that might not be doing the what we think is the right thing, but at the same time didn't have the knowledge to to like to behave in the way that we think that they should.
Absolutely. Like Guruji always like does such things, and he always says, I remember, like the world can be won through peace. And obviously the way he takes the thing, and it's really incredible. This one part gets I remind is when we are going out and telling people about this thing, meditation, Sudarshan Kriya, and all that, then actually the thing happens. But when the people do the happiness course, they are like, okay, I will do my practice, I will be happy. But this seva part is amazing. So how this seva part came in your life when you thought to become a teacher, and now let's do something which is out of my box? When did it came?
That's that's so interesting. You know, my whole life, I I thought I'm not going to become a teacher. I think that Guruji wants me to do something else. But then you always have to keep yourself open. You never know how he thinks that you can be a better tool. So at the beginning of the pandemic, when all of the businesses were like, "What are we gonna do?" And everyone was also concerned about. Okay, I was like on my own in Canada. My family, like everyone, is in Colombia. So for me, my natural way to respond was, I'm just going to double down on my meditation, on my sadhana. And then I had so much energy. I was in our early morning meetings. I was sharing with them some knowledge, and I saw how people loved it and how they were asking me to do more. And then I realized that I couldn't just stay with this knowledge and do nothing. And I think that I have access to so many of these entrepreneurs that have so many people that they influence. And I see that part of my work has to be related to how these teams can start doing these practices, how every person can have the Sudarshan Kriya. You know, the rate of people that commit suicide is 50% higher for entrepreneurs. So for me, because they feel so much responsibility, they feel that what's going to happen if they fail. There are so many things that happen in the life of an entrepreneur. So for me, at that point, it was natural that I have to move forward and to become a teacher. There are some moments in which you just know that you have to do it.
And now you are a teacher, and now you are benefiting so many people. And thanks to you, obviously, for being a teacher. And you are also taking various initiatives also in this. And you are just organizing a festival. Um, Tell us about that, which is going to happen in near March. So, what is it all about, and what's the background celebrations happening?
Yeah, so two of my friends from business school, they took the happiness program with me, and one of them he then took the silence course, and when he got out of silence, he said, "Okay, this is so great. I feel so amazing. I can just keep this to myself. Why don't we do something so that more people can experience these practices?" So I think that something that the three of us have in common is that the three of us had a process of like first exploring different things, and then we found our own path. And there are different things that that I would say get the attention of different people. So for someone, maybe they get interested first through Ayurveda, or they're really excited about technology, and first they're learning about something that they can use to like become more productive and more focused, and through the use of technology. So this is about realizing that people have different ways how they can come into these practices that support a vibrant and a healthy life. So we created this festival that works similar to a musical festival, in which you have 5 streams, which are movement. So in movement, of course, you have yoga, but also we're going to have the director of the New York Dance Festival leading some practices of like movement, and like, because also dance can make you feel more connected to yourself. So we have movement, we have stillness, of course. In stillness, you have breath work, you have meditation. Then we have knowledge. So we're going to have Michael Fishman speaking on the festival. We're going to have another stream for science and tech. As I was telling you before, like, we also know that there is so much research around the Sudarshan Kriya, and like understanding, for example, how the research happens, how the science of emotions. These are things that can get different people interested, and that we're doing this also as a fundraiser. So we're working with mental health charity in Toronto that works with at-risk youth, and all of the funds are going to be donated to this charity. They're doing amazing work. And the festival we're expecting is going to be on April 10th. We're going to launch it in March. So I'm also going to post here a Google Doc, so that if you're interested in joining, we can then send you all of the information. But the idea is that it's something very upbeat, very uplifting. Many people think that these practices are like for someone else, they're so boring, they're like ancient practices, and nothing that has to do with them. So we want to show it in a different way, more like in a festival, more about like something fun, like one day that you come, you experience different things, and the idea is that at the end they decide to to continue on a path.
I guess all that party generation people will have a different perspective when they come and attend this. And that's very interesting thing, because we have a very stereotypical mindset about something like yoga and knowledge and all. Like this is not for everyone. This is one for those who should be sitting in Himalaya. This is not for the day-to-day people. Now the things are changing, I guess, and we are so happy about it. Like, you people are doing all the things. One more thing is, like, today in the world we see the major challenges about power. Everyone wants to have power and suppress the people some or the other way we see. And a replica of that, I can say, there is a lot of violence also because of that. Like in the movies we see, like, there are so much guns and fighting and all. So in all those scene, and in America, I guess, like, we can see, like, there means there's some, because of movies and so many things, the impulse is so much in the mind of people. They are not very, like, serene and all. So how do you bring them to the course, and what changes you see after that?
Hmm. Yes, it's true. We see that most people is just so focused on the external, no, and on how we have to be comparing ourselves to each other, how we need to have like more power than someone else, or how we need to go like for the next thing, and you get something like material, and then you want the next thing and the next thing, and you continue chasing that. Um, and yes, you also see that especially people that have never had any access to anything like this, they might have some violent tendencies. And violence, we need to remember that it's not just from action. No, it's not like you're gonna get it with someone into a fight. Violence is also in our thoughts, in the things that we say. And I would say that it's one of the main things that I have seen with people around me that have taken the course. I think that even that ability to react better. No, I love when Guruji says you're not some sort of like chemistry mix that you need to be reacting to everything. I love that people that come to the course, they always leave with a smile. Two, they leave with something that they can practice for the rest of their lives. They don't need anything else than their breath, but also how that ability to go back to your center can help you react better. And we were talking before a lot about businesses and about like doing different things and working with entrepreneurs, doing seva, doing like so many things. And even for myself, something that I have to remind myself every day is that first you need to take responsibility for yourself. No, first you need to go back to your breath, go back to your center so that you can react better. It's very easy to get so stressed out with so many things that we put on our plate, but for everything, for everyone, you always can go back to your breath and come back to who you are, to what's your real nature.
And then coming back to the own nature, that's it's means I think art of living is all about that. We're getting back to that roots and all. Sometimes we feel like, obviously, like, there's so much of impulse in the people's mind, and the same time there is a lot of loneliness. There is, like, people are having so many things in their mind. When they sit on a course, they all release so many things. But what do you want means how, if someone is suffering from something, I can say depression or something is there in the mind. Still, many people are watching this on YouTube. They're having some big problem inside them, and they are thinking that I'm so lonely. I can't. reach to anyone? Whom should I say? What do you want to tell them?
Well, you always have to remember that like this thing that is very beautiful that Guruji says about how there's people that is you have like married people that are lonely, that are happy, or married people that are unhappy, or how you have people that are healthy and are happy, and people that are healthy and are unhappy. So what we're trying to do here is to be happy without any conditions. So I think that that's the most powerful thing that we have here about being able to go deep beyond that depression, beyond everything, go back to that nature and realize that we don't really need anything else. We can just be happy, and we can be happy right now. But at the same time, it's also about realizing that that there are cycles in life, no? And we have moments that in which everything is going really well, and then yeah, it's so easy to smile, no? And then there are moments that are more challenging, and that's when you really need to be very strong. You need to be very courageous. And of course, it's not easy, but that's why we have these courses. That's why we have the happiness course. So I would say that, okay, if you're watching this video and you're feeling depressed, that things are not going well for you, well, if you have not taken the happiness program, you should definitely do it. I have, even in my last course, I had 3 people with a really, really strong depression. And it's pretty amazing how they are just by the end of the course. And then when you see that they're doing their practice over time, it's beautiful. It's something that like I dedicate the time that I dedicate to the art of living, because I see that this works for everyone. And then if you are feeling depressed and you already took the course, then just go back to that knowledge. Go back to your practice, to your sadhana, because we have the tools for that.
Obviously, Guru also plays a very important role over here. Tell us about, what do you think about Gurudev, and how when you saw him and when you are in his aura, some stories around him, if you can share.
Oh, for me, I've always felt very taken care of throughout my life. But having a guru, having someone that is there for you 100% without any conditions, that is there to guide you, that puts so many people in your path to get you back on track. For me, Guruji has given me so much. I have found my family within Art of Living. Like in Colombia, I have amazing friends. In Canada as well. And that Sangha has been incredibly strong and helpful for my life. And years ago, when Guruji came to Colombia for a conference, but also as part of the process that he was doing with the government and the guerrilla, and I was at that time in the board of Art of Living, and they called us one day and they said, okay, Guruji is in this region, he's taking some rest, he's with the teachers, but if you want to come for one day, then you can be here by like 5 a.m. and then you can spend some time with him. And of course we went there. I was able to get in the car with him, and I remember him just like feeding me with this like rice on my hands with like prasad, and I, it's not just like that moment. I see him like nourishing me every day. He puts around me people that support me, that are there to tell me when I'm not in my center and I need to go back. He gave me an amazing mentor that became so close, and that I see him nourishing me as well through her words. So as I said, I cannot imagine my life without my sadhana and without the presence of Gurudev.
Absolutely true. And it helps a lot. Still, many people, like when they are in this path for a long time, they start having doubts. And some point they say that, okay, the knowledge keys are not working now. What to do? Let's leave my sadhana. I'm busy right now. And they also doubt the master sometimes. So for that, what do you want to tell the people who are actually in that phase of doubting?
It happened to me once. Something that it took me a while to understand was, and I think that probably everyone that has actively participated within active living has experienced how sometimes the foundation can be very chaotic. And then you feel like, what's this all about? What I'm doing here? This is not related to my knowledge, to anything. This doesn't make sense. But it's so different. Like, you need to understand that chaos is part of what you need. It's part of what you need to learn. It's hard to apply the knowledge if everything is just perfect. So I understand why at some point someone might feel like they need to stay away, but I think that just understanding that that's part of the learning, that can help a lot. And then when you feel that the practice might not be working for you, there are some other things that you can check. So you can go back to, for example, what Patanjali was explaining about how do you make the practice work, no? So when you do it without a gap, when you do it with honor and respect, when you also start implementing in your life those yamas and niyamas, that's when the practice works the best. So it's more about like going through the list of like, okay, I'm doing this. Am I doing this other thing? Even like simple things, no? Like, for example, I really insist on how it's so important to like even shower before doing your sadhana. It's something that brings that respect to the practice. So just checking maybe why it's not working.
Absolutely. And obviously, Gurudev says ki doubt 100%. And when we are in that chaos and doubt, and then some miracle happens, and then we are like, oh wow, this I was not expecting. And things start getting out of the logic after that. And there are now many people who have joined today. So now I just open the forum to everyone. If you want to ask some question or share some gratitude or say something, you can just unmute yourself and ask. And if you want to ask some question on YouTube also, so you can write it in the comment section. I will take it. Yes, Sudha Didi, you want to say something?
Yeah, very happy to hear you actually. Normally, as you rightly said, entrepreneurs, any person you'll have a depression that comes actually because you have work is stressful work only, because materialist things are mostly involved in your this thing. They feel compared to benefits, everything in every aspect they expect that what you are getting in return, that they say see, they are not analyzing what is happening to you, the happiness, real happiness, what you are saying, they measure into materialistic part, not actually what is going on in your head, how do you come out of anxiety and those things. either they got stuck up, they'll get stuck up with the past, and they'll go on regret, and then otherwise they'll go on to thinking about the future, and they'll go in anxiety that way. So they are like between the devil and the deep sea, they get stuck up, and then they are not aware, and that makes them more stressful, and neither they'll be successful as a business person nor this way. So in that case, you are following this path, and you are implementing the whatever you learned, that knowledge, you are applying that in your day-to-day life, and you are practicing that itself. A big salute to you, and nice to hear you, like, and this is what, we learn many things, but we don't follow. That happens, we learn many things, but as far as we don't apply and in a day-to-day life. But as you said, if you practice the sadhana, and it is definitely going to benefit you, that attitude comes, then you should follow it, just like mental hygiene, this the hygiene type. You make it a practice, then that becomes, it is definitely going to be beneficial. So you made us to understand that way, and thanks for giving your valuable time. So nice to have you. So Jai Gurudev.
Oh,
Thanks
thank
a
you
lot.
for sharing that. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. It's so nice that you are joining from the other part of the world, and the people are watching this session from the most extreme other part of the world. But because Gurudev made this family so nice, means we can just say Jai Gurudev, and these courses are also so connecting to each other. But sometimes it happens that every seva, it comes out of compassion. Like when we in the course, the starting point is I belong to you and all. But sometimes this belongingness doesn't means come from the heart. So how we can actually, as a happiness course teacher, you can just explain that point. How does I belong to you mean actually? And how we can just get more into seva, and how we can all become volunteers of autonomy, because many people who are watching these sessions are in that stage, like, okay, I am doing my practice. So how we can actually implement that I belong to you and get out of our homes and create a difference.
I'm gonna tell you something that was very useful for me. You know, before one of the main things that I had to improve when I and work on when I became a teacher was that I would be very afraid of making a fool of myself. And then I learned that a lot of it was related to the point of accepting people and situations as they are, and about thinking there within that point of acceptance, there is something that says observe if you're feeling above someone or below someone. You know, we tend to think that ego, which is what makes us feel separated, is only when we think that we're like better than others. And no, it's not just that. It's also when you think that you're like below someone. And just bringing that awareness into like, why I'm feeling uncomfortable with someone right now? Is it because I feel that I'm above that person, or am I below that person? And then you realize, well, no, it's not like that. And then you feel that you're not separated, and then that sense of belongingness comes naturally.
And that's why Gurudev always tell this Eko Vishwa Kutumbakam, the world, one world family. Means we wherever we are, we all are connected to that same divine energy. And we felt that in this session. It was so nice having you. You shared so many things, your journey and all. All of us are very uplifted right now. And the people who are watching it on YouTube, I request, this was a very nice session which got everyone of us uplifted. So make sure you share this to maximum people so that they also get in that zone. And the people who are in need and people who are lonely, depressed, they will definitely get benefit out of it. So you can share this session to maximum people. And those many people who are watching this live on YouTube, make sure you hit that subscribe button so that you can get these sessions every day. And Olga ma'am, it was so nice having you. And any last note or any last message or call of action you want to say to all of us?
I would say the last thing would be to always remember that the path is very complete. You have your sadhana, and that is giving you the energy and everything to do your seva. But if you only have that sadhana for yourself, it's incomplete. So there's so many things that are there's so many people that just like need us. The environment needs like really needs us. What I was telling you before about the sustainable development goals, these were goals that we set up so that by 2030 we could like improve these 17 goals. We could improve in those um, in those areas, but we're really far from reaching that. It's expected that only by 2073 we would get to that. So what are we going to do now? What are you going to do with that well-being that you're getting, with that mental clarity, with that love that you're feeling? You cannot just keep it to yourself. So you can engage in seva, you can take responsibility, and if you feel that building a business is for you, then becoming a social entrepreneur can be a great way to do it.
Just one message that came in the chat box. Ki Mohit Garg, a person is asking ki how he wants to do many things, but how can we overcome procrastination? This is his question. If you want to address this.
Well, I'll tell you something that works for me. So I realized that like being like very disciplined was not something that was coming very natural to me. But I realized that when I was doing something with other people or for other people, there was no way I would skip it. So for the different things that I do, I have one day in which I join with that team, with the one I'm working on that. So like I have my team for the festival, the team for the people that I work with. For my side, and I was sharing how I do it with my boss and my colleague. And for me, that works when you can create that also that accountability for yourself. Yeah, I hope that helps.
Absolutely, absolutely. I want to say that all the people who are watching it on YouTube, if you are finding uncomfortable in doing sadhana alone, join any group sadhana.
Yes.
There are so many happening online, and obviously the sangha helps in
Exactly.
a lot of things. And thank you so much for creating this sangha. And many people are like uplifted right now. And thank you so much for coming and sharing.
No, thank you, Abhishek. You're doing such an amazing work here, and it's about bringing those stories now, and it's amazing the community that we have, and it's great that we can learn from each other. So thank you so much for having me. Thank you to each one of you that is watching this session right now. For those that might be watching this on YouTube, it makes us feel very connected and part of that one family that Abhishek was mentioning.
Yes. Thank you so much. And thank you so much for those people who will be watching this on 2030 also. This is YouTube recording, so it will be there for years to come. And thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. I hope you have a lovely weekend, that you take some time for yourself, and that you take some time to also think about those problems that maybe you can fix, that you can.
True. Thank you so much.